Okay, Shelby, let's talk about you. It's kind of what you did yesterday, but now you're actually going to solve equations for x. So solve the equation, okay? So you have a second power. So the second power means there's two answers I need to find. So I need to make sure we have our zero, okay? First, we have to make sure we have our zero, which we do, okay? So check. We want that. Okay, so now I have three terms. So we're going to make our t-chart. We're going to need to check if A equals 1, okay? So A equals 1 question mark, okay? Or no, here. A is 2 on this problem, okay? So A is 2, so remember that. A is 2, not 1, okay? Okay, so I take 2 times negative 7, that's going to be negative 14, so I'm going to be looking for a difference, and that difference needs to equal 13, okay? Difference means I minus. So 1 and 14 minus 1 is 13, so we have it, we're good to go. Now, A is equal to 2 here, so I'm going to need 4 parentheses for this, 2 sets, okay? So since A equals 2, we need to put 2, 2, then the x to the second goes x, x, and then we're going to take the 1 and the 14, so 1, 14. So I have minus 13, okay? So I need to have minus 14 for sure, okay? And it's a difference, so the signs have to be the opposite. So that is going to be plus. Okay, so let's look at these two. So 2 and 1, if the smaller number is 1, that's just going to stay the way it's at because I can't really divide if 1's the smallest. Now, 2 and 14, so I take 2, and that'd be 1 and 2. And let's see if we can divide by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 14 divided by 2 is 7. So 2 works. So I divide these by 2, and that is 1x minus 7. Okay? Now, I got to get the two answers here. So equals 0. So that's factor 1 and that's factor 2. So 2x plus 1 can equal 0. Or there's a possibility that 1x minus 7 can equal 0. So I box up the 2x. I minus 1. So 2 times x equals negative 1. And then I divide by 2. And I take negative 1 divided by 2, and that's negative 0.5. Okay, then there's a possibility that 1x minus 7 can equal 0. So I plus 7, 1x equals 7. Okay, so those are my two answers for x. And if we plug those into the equation for x, I'll get 0. Okay, so two answers because you have a second power right there. Now, we need to have 0, okay? And this time I don't have it. So I need to take that negative 2 and plus 2, but there's nowhere to plus 2. I can't go here or here, so I put plus 2 right here. And then plus 5x. And then I could plus 5x under the 6x. Okay, so I have 5x to the second power. Then I take 6 plus 5 is 11, so plus 11x plus 2. Now I have my three terms that I can do the ABC with. Okay, so 5 times 2, so A times C, we're taking 5 times 2, and that's going to be 10, but this time it's positive, so we're looking for a sum. That means we're going to add, and that sum needs to equal 11. So 1 and 10, 10 plus 1 is 11, okay? So we have it, 10 plus 1. and A equals 5, okay? So we need to pay attention to that. So since A is not a 1, it's another number, I need to make 4 parentheses, and I do the 4 parentheses because I know using that algorithm, everything's going to be factored correctly. So A is 5, so I lead off with 5, and then x squared is x and x, and then 1 and 10, so 1, 10. So I've got plus 11, so it's plus 10 for sure, and it was a sum, so the signs have to be the same, so that's plus. 5 and 1 I can't divide down, that's going to stay 5x plus 1. 5 and 10 I need to divide, okay, so 5, 1 and 5, and that's it, because 5 divided by 2 decimal, 5 divided by 3 decimal, 4 decimal, and then I'm back to 5. So let's try 5. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2. So 5 is the winner. So that's 1x plus 2. Okay, so this is factor 1 and this is factor 2. So either factor 1, 5 times x plus 1 could equal 0, or factor 2, 1x plus 2 could equal 0. Two possibilities. So I minus 1, 5x equals negative 1, and then I divide by 5. So negative 1 divided by 5 is negative 0.2. So that's my first answer. And then I minus 2, 1x equals negative 2, and then since I have a 1, we can get rid of it, and negative 2 is my other answer. Okay, next problem. There's 2 answers. There's my 0. Okay, 0. We have it, so check. Okay, so I go to my T-chart. There's 3 terms, so we go to our T-chart. So I take 3 times negative 15. That's going to be A times C, and 3 times negative 15. And that's going to be negative 45. So if that's negative, we're looking for a difference that equals 4. Okay? So 1 and 45, no. 2 is a decimal. 3 and 15. That's 15 minus 3 is not 4, because remember I minus. 45 divided by 4 is a decimal. 45 divided by 5 is 9. So I got 5 and 9. 9 minus 5 is 4. Okay? Now what does A equal? A equals 3. Okay? So I lead off with 3. 3, 3, and then x, x, and then 5 and 9. So 5, 9. Okay, so I have plus 4, so we're going to have plus 9 for sure. And difference means the signs have to be the opposite. Okay, so 3 and 5, let's check out 3. So 1 and 3. Can we divide those by 3? No, 5 divided by 3 is a decimal. Okay, so that's going to stay the same. So 3x minus 5. Okay, 3 and 9. Let's take 3. 1 and 3. Let's try 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So 3 works. So it's going to be 1x plus 3. Okay. Okay, so this is factor 1, and this is factor 2. So 3 times x minus 5 could equal 0, or 1x plus 3 could equal 0. So 3 times x equals 5, so I divide by 3. 5 divided by 3 is 1.6 repeating. One x equals negative 3, so negative 3 is the other one. Okay? Then we have this last one. So do I have 0? No, I don't have it, so I need a minus 2. And I could minus 2 with the 9. That's a like term. I can minus 6x with the 10x. So I got 4x to the second. Now that needs to be negative 10 minus 6. So negative 10 minus 6, and that's negative 16. So minus 16x. And then I take positive 9 minus 2. That's 7. Okay? That gives me 0. Okay? So now I'm ready to go. I've got the A, the B, and the C. So I take A times C. So I'll be taking 4 times 7. That's positive 28. So it's a sum. And that sum I would like to equal 16. So that means I'm adding. So 1 and 28, but 28 plus 1 isn't 16. So 28 divided by 2. And 14 plus 2 is 16. So that's it. Okay, now what does A equal here? A equals 4. So if A is 4, we want to make it so there are 4 parentheses. Okay, so A is 4, so I lead off each parentheses with a 4, and then I put that as x, and then 2, 14. So I have minus 16, so it's going to be minus 14, and a sum would mean they're both minus. They have to be the same. So 4 and 2, let's take a look at 2. So 1 and 2. So let's look at 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So that one works. So I divide these by 2. So it becomes 2x minus 1. Okay? Times 4 and 14. So let's look at 4. So 1 and 4. Then 4 divided by 2 is 2. I got twins, so sorry. 1, 14 divided by 4 decimal. Okay, so 4 doesn't work. Okay, now try 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 14 divided by 2 is 7. Okay, so 2 works. So 2x minus 7. Okay, so equals 0. So 2x minus 1 equals 0. 2x minus 7 equals 0. So 2 times x equals 1. Then I divide by 2. 0.5. Plus 7 plus 7. 2 times x equals 7. So I divide by 2. And 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. So 0.5 and 3.5.